Card is just me this time. It's, I don't know, with Sean it doesn't seem to be working out that well, but let's see. Let me just go ahead and put the poll into this one so all of you guys can join in as well. How's it going, everybody? So we did have a pretty big move in the index, so that's a good sign. Let me find out what is the, we needed the poll, so let's get that going. We don't have too much of economic data coming out today, so that should be fine. Not really that much of a worry. Mm, let's go into the poll. I'm just waiting for everyone to come in and then we can go ahead with a few things. There is some good news on the Iranian front, so that's been working out pretty well. That's one good thing that's been happening. So that's good news when that happens. Where on earth is the poll? Yeah, there you go. You should get the poll in about anytime right now. Can you guys hear me clearly? Is the audio fine? Okay, perfect. Till the time there's no background noise, that's important. Mm, that is good. So it should be a green day again today, even though yesterday, while the markets were not open, the futures were open. So that worked out pretty well. The futures was showing a negative 1%, but turned out to be a positive 1% right now. So we reversed all of the losses that we had as of yesterday. That's good to see. Usually when you see those again, like I've been saying, right, those are all clear signs of bull markets. Let's go get the poll in so everyone can then vote. There you go. You should see the poll right now. Okay, that is done. So go ahead. This time I'm just keeping the pinned comments towards whatever you guys want to talk about. So anything that you guys want to drop all of your stocks, so you can put that in, and then we'll talk about that. Let's also go ahead and put this out on WhatsApp as well. Uh, yeah, I think we should. I mean, looks like it is going to be a bullish market at the moment. I don't see it as a bearish one anytime right now. So fascinating, right? Talking about rate cuts, the fact that one of the things that I did see was that Governor Waller just came out and said that you could see Fed rate cuts coming in as soon as early July. So if that's the case, then you will see markets go way higher. At the moment, the market's not moving towards anything that Governor Waller is saying is because he's not the current chairman, right? But you know what? Like I was saying, they start telegraphing everything that they're going to be doing beforehand, so you get to know whether the market's going to go higher or not. Anyway, so we have this pre-market pretty much every day going all the way till 10 o'clock. So half an hour into market open as well. So make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys ask me all of your questions about the market, whatever you guys want, whatever you guys want to talk about, any of your stocks. Do I see? So the first question that we have there is, we should see bullish moves in the session ahead. Yes. So like I said, day before yesterday when market closed, and as of yesterday, the markets were shut, but we had futures open. So you saw oil going up as well, and you started seeing most of your futures in equity markets down about 1%. So we had things that happened. Let me just tell you guys what I'm looking at right now, which is the reason why the markets recovered. One of the main reasons why the markets recovered is because you had one important news point, which came from the Iranians where they clearly came out and said, let me just get the tweet out so I'm not going to be paraphrasing there. Senior tariff official comes out and says to Reuters that Iranian official, sorry, not tariff, but Iran is ready to discuss limitations on its uranium enrichment. Zero enrichment will undoubtedly be rejected, especially now under Israel strikes. We need to hear E3's initiatives on the nuclear issue. Senior Iranian official also says the role of European powers is now more prominent as Tehran is unwilling to engage with US amid Israeli strikes. Let me just repeat the first line. What the senior Iranian official comes and says to Reuters is Iran is ready to discuss limitations on its uranium enrichment. When you saw that happen, you saw stocks go up about a percent. At the moment, they're up about 1.2% from yesterday's lows. So, all said and done, guys, I've been saying this since a very long time. I don't want to keep sounding like the same speech giving person saying that we're in a bull market and markets are going to go higher. I think you're again going to see a move higher today. It's Yeah, exactly. It is less uncertainty that's clearly visible. That's the reason why the US 100, the NASDAQ is up about 258 points. Remember that to a certain extent, it was down about 100 as well, almost 100, 150. So we dropped all the way down on the hourly basis to about 21, 400, 440, and now all the way up to 21, 800. Joe Gray says, Biryani, bro, I've been missing that shit since quite a while. Hopefully I get it. But yeah, we haven't been able to have decent biryani on this side of the planet. But that's what it is. I miss it. But anyways, that's what Sharik says. Good morning, morning. Sharik, nice to see you in. How's your Friday going? Anyway, so we're about, I would say maybe on a way closer to heading higher. There's no reasons why. Again, I don't see a reason why this is going to happen. Uh, Let me just get this. So again, right, the fact that Iran is capitulating to a certain extent and coming out and saying that they're ready to discuss limitations on its uranium enrichment, that in itself is a bullish sign, according to me. So at the moment, they're saying 2 weeks is the most beautiful two words in the dictionary. So somewhere, if you actually think about it, the 2 weeks that we're talking about is it's pretty much going to be the Iranian uranium stuff going on, plus the tariff deadline on these countries. Plus, you're also going to start seeing in an exact month and 15 days from now, the August Chinese tariffs also being taken out. So we have a lot of things on the plate at this moment. But I welcome all bullish moves right now, up to 65 on the Nasdaq. The volatility index is down 12.86%. The dollar index is what I still have to check, but the bond yields are up about a percent on the 10-year. So which is always a good sign. It's okay. It's not that much of a worry. Dollar's picking up from its lows. You had a 98.55, now all the way up to 98.723. So that's decent. I mean, that's good to see. Sharik says he's on his way to work. Okay, that's a good sign. That's good. Let me see a few more things. Yeah, so you're looking at Nike up about 1%, a firm lemonade up about a percent and a half. Nvidia's been flat. I remember seeing Nvidia down a bit, but now it's looking like it's going to head higher. Again, it did head to its 146 numbers on Nvidia. If 146 is taken out, you are going to start seeing 150. I remember when we started our live sessions close to a month back, and we had Nvidia in the 135s, 137s. We were still saying that it is going to head higher. It, obviously, it's moved up about 6-7% from there. I still think we are going to see Nvidia move to about the $150 levels. So today is otherwise a very big day. Remember, we've been putting out a few shots about this as well. There is something called as a triple witching week. The options expiry is today. It is the largest options expiry in volumes. So what you're going to be seeing towards close is going to be crazy. There's going to be a lot of options daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly options that expire. 20th June is when your quarterly expiries happen, which is today. So there'll be a lot of volatility towards the close, even post lunch. So be aware of that. If you have any of your positions before that, try closing it if they're in profit and they head towards wherever you want them to. Don't expect too much of a move because there can be wild moves that happen, especially because we have had a decently bullish month. It's nothing too fancy, but we haven't fallen off the cliff, right? It's only 1% up for the month. So it's decent. I mean, with all of the volatility and all of the news that's been out there, for me, it's a good month considering that we're dropping. Right. So as of now, we are taking over Thursday's high. We should open above that. 21,800 is what it's looking like. If we are able to take out 21,860, which is maybe about 0.3% from here, we would be taking out even Wednesday's high. And obviously 22,000, then we're at weekly highs, right? So I'm not sure if we're going to get to 22,000. If we do, that's great, but at the moment doesn't look like it is going to be that case. Let me go ahead and see a few more things. Let's see what's happening with a few stocks. So the dollar yen, which is basically an easy way for you to find out risk on sentiment and risk off sentiment. The dollar yen is at 145.596. Usually when you see the dollar go against the yen, which when the dollar is basically more powerful against the yen, you see risk on sentiment taking off. So which is good, right? Because the yen is a reserve currency is what people look at it for. When the yen appreciates, which means when the dollar depreciates against the yen, you start seeing equity selling off. So always a good sign to see the dollar heading up and the yen falling, because that means people are selling their yen positions that they have as a risk risk off and start putting it into riskier positions. So which is when you usually start seeing things like the Russell 2000, all of them start picking up and prices going higher for these small cap indexes. A lot of us don't own small caps necessarily, but always remember that when you have small caps moving higher, there's risk on sentiment. There is more higher moves for all the Teslas, Nvidias of the world, which eventually leads to the triple Qs and the SPYs going higher as well. I think you should also see 60-20, 60-50 on the S&P. So let's see if the SPY can break 60-60. Today it'll be a bit tough, especially because of the options expiry, but no reason why you can't see it happen. Quite likely that we could be in a very bullish day, especially because of what's happened. So let me get to one of the main things which I wanted to talk to you about was the fact that, so wait, let me just get this. Tesla's robotaxi service kicks off this Sunday, June 22nd, with early access. It's now going out. So that's a Model Y based service. That's fine. That's not important. This is what's happened, right? The Federal Reserve Governor Waller comes out and says that the Fed is in a position as early as July for cuts. He says the Fed has room to bring rates down and then can see what happens with inflation. The process should start slow to be sure there are no surprises. If there is a shock, the Fed could pause. I do not think inflation impact from tariffs will be big. The trend is looking good. So he says the Fed has been on pause for 6 months waiting for an inflation shock that has not arrived. So the Fed has room to bring rates down and then can see what happens with inflation. So this is basically Jerome Powell as well as his friends at the Fed coming out and basically saying that we're going to be cutting. This is how they telegraph. We've been saying this before that I still think we might get more than two cuts. The market believes two cuts. I think we'll get 3 to 4 cuts for the year. It's a bullish sign, obviously, but when it happens telegraphed, it's a more bullish sign, because remember, you don't want cuts to happen overnight. You don't want a 100 basis point cut overnight. So it's okay if you go 25, 25, 25, 25. So at the moment, if July is on the table for a 25 basis point cut, it's looking like it's being telegraphed by the Federal Reserve very clearly. One of the governors is coming out. You'll get some of them that come out and say, no, we need to look at inflation and all of that. At the end of the day, it still depends on Powell. June was a no cut. I still do believe they would have cut if not for Trump coming out with so many tweets against Powell. I still do believe they would have cut. It looked that way. Powell was bullish. Powell was dovish in the whole statement, but he had to also prove to the market and to everybody else asking questions, because he can't come out and say, hey, you know what, I didn't cut because Trump was being a whatever. But at the same time, he comes out and says that, hey, you know what, inflation is looking great and everything's looking good. Employment numbers are great, even though they aren't, right? We do know that they're softening bit by bit. all said and done, the fact that he was able to even beat Avish was making me know that, July, August, even Jackson Hole, all of these were on table for a 25 basis point cut because the economy needs a boost. Let me be honest, the employment data is not as great as it looks. We're not falling off a cliff, but it is looking like it is weakening, surely, right? Um, it's pretty certain that we're heading towards lower levels on employment unless and until the Fed comes out and starts cutting. Today, the Fed comes out, especially Governor Waller comes out and says that there is a high chance that they cut in July. Market's gone up because of that as well. There's also a reason that the Iranians are saying to a certain extent they're ready to negotiate. None of them want to get blown up. All right, let's be honest. No one wants to get blown up. So they are going to be coming to the talking table. And you know what's going to happen when they talk, even if they do get a deal, they get something done, or they even stop firing to a very large extent or reduce the firing. Now the market doesn't care if Israel does not kill the supreme, if Israel does not the supreme leader or America does not kill the supreme leader. That's not of concern here. The concern is not whether the leader is killed. The concern is not whether America bombs or no. The concern is that will America enter this war, and will this war last for too long? The fact that America clearly came out and said that 2 weeks more is going to be given before we strike, and that was done yesterday. And today, the Iranians came out and said that, hey, you know what, we're ready to negotiate on limited enrichment. So that speaks for itself, right? I mean, what more do you want to know about this? The fact that both the parties somewhere are negotiating, right? Now you could still have bombs flying for another 2 weeks, but the market doesn't care about it. It's the Strait of Hormuz is not going to be closed, and I'm tired of talking about the Strait of Hormuz. So we're good on that front. I don't really think the war in Israel, the war in Iran is going to be any much more of an issue as what it's been. That topic is over. So everyone really stop worrying about that. That's not of concern here at all. Let's see. Federal Reserve Waller comes out and says that tariffs will not be completely passed through. A 10% tariff on all imports would not have much impact on overall inflation. So he's pretty much going against what Chairman Powell has been saying. While Powell was saying that you will see some effects come in, you will see a large effect come in on electronics and a few other things. That is not what the other Fed presidents are saying, especially Waller. He's saying tariffs will not be completely passed through. He's saying it will not have much impact on overall inflation. So, by that logic, he's pushing for rate cuts this morning, right? He's clearly saying, look through all of the tariff price increase. So, I think it's a way of Jerome Powell basically coming out and say that, hey, you know what? Here's your tariff cuts. Here's your story. Here's what you wanted. But I'm going to give you these cuts not now. I'm not giving it to Trump today, but I'm going to eventually agree to what he's saying because he's right. And do I agree with the concept that he should be cutting? Yes. Did I think June was the right cut? No, because if June he did cut, remember it would look like as if Trump choked him in order to cut. So he did the right thing by cutting. They're anyways meeting in another 45 days. They're going to cut them. So they're just telegraphing it to you today. I think in another few days as well, Jerome Powell is coming out and going to be testifying. So he's going to be saying something there. Let's see what he says. Usually the test when they go and testify, they don't really say too much. It's their way of telegraphing it through others. So we're seeing about, as of now, a 1.26% move upwards, 21,805 on the Nasdaq. Whatever happened on Thursday, we've taken up all of that. So that is not of concern at the moment. Let me just get to a few of those chats. Sean says, so rate cuts next month probably went higher. Yes, I'll talk to you about that because that's an important topic. Jason says, hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, Jason. Nice to see you in. It's going to be a good day today. Hopefully, we take out even Wednesday's high at 21,850, 21,860. That would be good. 60-60 on the SPY. If that breaks, Jason, we're going to go higher. So that's nice to see. Let me get to Sean's question. He says rate cuts next month probability went higher. I actually do believe that they were going to cut even in June. Like I was saying, The only reason they didn't cut is because the man just kept barking at them. So that was just their way of telling him that, hey, you know what? And now guess what is going to happen? He's going to pretty much keep quiet now and not tell anything to Powell because his people around him have started saying these things. So in a way, Trump talking too much didn't help him. Now the fact that Powell and his subsidiaries in the Fed on that conference board, they're going to sit together and they're like, okay, now let's telegraph the next cut before this guy starts talking. Now, if he comes out and says anything, it's not going to help out because the market's already discounting the fact that there is going to be a cut that's coming. So, in a way, that works out pretty well. So, that I'm pretty certain about. I actually do think that they're going to cut in the July meeting. I don't see it as too much of an issue. It seems pretty good to go at the moment. The fact that Waller he's been dovish as well, so that's been working out as well for now. Kroger lifts annual sales target on resilient grocery demand. I mean, these things just make me realize that hey, it is a bull market, right? So I don't really. Oh, this is breaking news, right? Satellite images show Iran nuclear sites were only grazed after multiple days of Israeli bombardment. You know what they've done? They've just built it so deep underground that the only way for anyone to come and do anything is the B-2 and the B-52 bombers dropping that on the Iranians. Do I see that happening? Absolutely not. It is not going to happen. As much as anyone wants it to happen, it's not happening. Sorry to break that news to you. It is not going to happen. And here's why. I'll give you the logic behind why it's not going to happen. I was actually talking to Sean about this today itself, saying, you know what? I don't really believe any of this is going to happen. The Strait of Hormuz and all of that crap, everyone's just screaming about it for no reason. It's not going to get shut. The reason it's not going to get shut is this. Uh, Logically, think about it. Who is Iran's best friend in times of war? Russia and China, right? The Russians have their own war to fight, so no one's really giving a damn about that. And the Russians don't really care about what's happening in Iran at the moment, even though they did say that they were providing defense support. The defense support is not leading to anything because Iran declined. The reason Iran declined is because it looks like it's a world war when the allies versus Axis powers come through. That's one. Second, the other friend of Iran is China. China is still a net importer of China is still a net importer of oil in this world and one of the largest in this world of importers of oil. So think of what I'm saying. Most of China's oil imports come from Saudi Arabia. Where does that oil come from? Where does it travel? Through the Strait of Hormuz. Are you telling me Iran's best friend and pretty much the only person who might support it, China, is going to basically tell Iran that in order for your sovereignty and in order for you to stay strong, I will be without oil and I will make sure that I will find oil from somewhere else? No, it's not going to happen. The Chinese would have already have called up Iranians and told them that, hey, listen, don't shut that thing, don't shut it down, because I'm pretty sure that they don't want their oil issues to be facing any more problems because their economy is still in the doldrums. They're trying to recover from that. They're not going to deal with an oil shock at this moment. So Saudi Arabia is still not going to be able to send its oil if the Strait of Hormuz is shut down. So, I mean, just think logically, right? At the end of the day, if the Chinese are the ones that are going to get hit the most if the Strait of Hormuz is shut down, what on earth are the chances of the strait being shut? It's just, it's plain math, right? I mean, when you start looking at things differently other than just looking at it through headlines, you start realizing a few things. You start realizing that who has the most to lose from the Strait of Hormuz being shut? It is not the Americans. The Americans are the largest exporters of oil. They're self sufficient in oil and they export oil. So shutting down the Strait of Hormuz is not helping the Americans, is not hurting them either. It doesn't matter that much to them. Yes, is it going to affect global trade to a certain extent? Yes, but who's it affecting the most? The Chinese. And who is Iran's best friend? The Chinese. So it's it's pretty. I mean, it's just weird to think of the fact that they are going to shut down the strait, and you're going to see something that's going to get crazy out here. No, that shit doesn't happen. This is not how things work. Ah, anyways. So what? Let's go over a few stocks. Let's see what else is happening. Sean says he's aroused looking at the markets. Fabulous. I mean, till the time you don't get the tariff man coming and saying something, that would be interesting, right? He wants an unconditional surrender. Remember that. So, and they're not surrendering. They're just saying we're negotiating. So, I don't know what's happening where, but one thing I'm certain about is shit's not hitting the fan. Until the time that's not happening, I'm not selling equity. I'm not selling my positions. I'm not stopping to trade. Yes, I'm actually looking forward to seeing if Nvidia can break its previous high as of yesterday. Maybe even if it can break like 146, 146.25. That'll actually be a good sign for the market to head higher. I'm just waiting to see if that happens. What are we? Apple's up about zero point 0.4, Affirm's up about 1.1, AMD is up about 1. The market is actually being held pretty well by semiconductors. If you actually go down and see the way AMD has acted in the past few days, it's actually been pretty decent since the war has even begun, right? Semiconductors have been doing pretty well. And today you have some news about Masayoshi Son on SoftBank coming in and pretty much making, I don't know, how much is he putting in? About $1 trillion. So Meta just showed off its next pair of smart glasses with Oakley. They'll be available at $399 starting this summer. Actually, don't look that great, but anyways, to each his own. So Tesla will open its first showrooms in India in July, in Mumbai, and then New Delhi. Model Ys has already arrived. Great. Hmm. You're gonna start getting. I don't know. The Lakers were worth 10 billion, but they were sold for 10 billion. I mean, it's a crazy amount of money. Let's go see what else is happening. Actually, the Feds, pretty much what Waller said. I think even I think even Powell wanted to say it, but I think just because of the political nonsense that's been happening, he just like kept aside from all of that. And to a certain extent, if you actually think about it, after every Powell speech, you usually see the markets take a shit. They literally go down a percent and a half. The fact that this time they've been holding steady and they actually closed in the green. I was so sure about this fact that if the Israel Iran things die out in a few days and maybe over the weekend as well, maybe next week and the week after, even before we get to the July 4th deadline and the July 9th deadline and all the other deadlines that are there, I actually do feel that the markets would then be hitting close to all time highs. Possibly. It's usually when people don't expect things that it actually ends up happening. Right. Look at this Darden restaurants, right? They were supposed to be, they beat expectations. Q4 sales of 3.27 billion, up from 2.96 billion. Adjusted EPS came in at 2.98 versus 2.96 estimated. So who's saying no one's going there? Right. Anyways, this was actually big news for anyone that's tuning in new. The Iranian official to Reuters comes out and says that Iran's ready to discuss limitations on its uranium enrichment. Okay. Uh, Jesus Christ. SoFi and Benzinga are teaming up to boost investor tools on the SoFi Invest platform. Like analyst ratings, price targets, earnings info. Why is it moving? Anyways, let's go ahead and see something more. So Meta tried to buy out the OpenAI guys, the previous OpenAI dudes, Ilya, whatever Suts, Kevers, or whatever the hell his name is, $32 billion AI startup. And Ilya said no, because I think he was supposed to report to the guy who was running Scale AI, Alexander Wang. That shit didn't work out as well. So I didn't think he wanted to report to anyone. But apparently, the CEO of that company is now joining Meta. So these are signs of a bubble. I'm not saying that the bubble's coming yet, the bursting yet. Maybe when OpenAI comes with an IPO, maybe then it would happen. Not as of now. I don't really think so. We're still in the building phase. So doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Stellantis is thinking of possible sale of Maserati. Okay, cool. Mm. So this is one thing that was actually fascinating for me, was to think of the fact as to what would happen to Uber. I do agree that they have a demand platform and why that's how they'll survive. But what happens if Waymo is going to be going to multiple cities, including now that they're going to be entering back into New York City? Obviously, they'll have drivers sitting there, specialists is what they call them. But when that happens, I don't know about Uber and Lyft. I'm not sure about that. Right? They might just stick to food deliveries and all the other stuff, but I'm not really certain about the fact as to how that would work out when it comes to Uber's ability to deal with Waymo. I do agree that yes, Uber and Waymo to a large extent are working together, and it is happening, but not sure about the fact as to how strong the moat of Uber is, considering the fact that Waymo could just one day decide that, okay, now that I have all of these bookings through my own app, I can just stop using Uber and stop giving them a cut. Possibly, I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, but it could. You don't want that sword hanging over your head, especially if you have that as an investment, right? Let me see. You think driverless cars would come to Europe or the Middle East soon? So it's I know to a large extent in the Middle East, especially in UAE, it is coming. There is a company that they're tying up with. I know Waymo is coming to UAE. Mm, but there are no current announcements in terms of. I know they've invested in it. So UAE's Mubadala invested about 2.25 billion into Waymo. So there is a single company called. Let me get the name. So Uber launches its first international driverless taxi service. It's called WeRide. That's the one that's coming to UAE. So that's the place from where you're basically going to be getting a lot of your driverless cars in the UAE. I mean, let's see what happens, man. I don't want to front run that kind of a story, but let's see. Anyways, Tesla's up about 1.72%. Everyone's expecting that taxi event. So let's see. 22nd, right? That's when it happens. Anyways, Tesla faces a significant quarterly triple witching event this Friday. 6.5 trillion in US equity options expiring. That's what I've been saying, right? Remember, a lot of people don't even know what triple witching is, but that's what's currently happening. It is it can be a lot of market volatility, especially 6.5 trillion with a bloody T in US equity options expiring. So it is going to be quite crazy. Let me go see if we have any news on. I did see some news when it came to Nvidia. So Nvidia rises after Kathy Wood has rebuilt her 18.5 million stake near all-time high. That is just great, right? Anyways, Nvidia is in talks to deploy humanoid robots at Foxconn Houston factory. Anyways, so I actually do think Nvidia is going to be, like I've been saying, the reason why these things tend to do well, especially the markets, Nasdaq especially. It still has about a 6.5 to 7% weighting on the SPX, but it could do pretty well on Nasdaq as well. Higher weighting, so I think once the market opens, we'll have a lot more clarity. Again, my bet, you'll see higher prices on Nvidia. Maybe even today. Who knows? Let me see what's happening with oil, right? Oil was supposed to take a shit. Oil's at 73, down about 0.65%. I don't think the market's currently buying into the Israelis, the Iranian stuff of limiting their uranium output. But let's see. As of now, my belief is that it is gonna work out. It's just a lot of noise rather than things actually playing out. Mm, so most likely I'll do a post market as well. So all of you guys that want to join in, go ahead, subscribe, and then you'll get a notification when I do a post market live. I do it at about 7:30 p.m. So like after a few hours after the market closes, because not right after the market closes. Everyone can be at home and chill, and then join in. Most likely I'll do that at about 7:38 around that time, and then we have the weekend off, and then we get back again on Monday for pre-market. Unless and until shit doesn't hit the fan when it comes to the market on the weekend. We don't have something that goes crazy, right? If that's the thing, then we're good to go. Right. Okay. Let's get some of the news that's happening. Let me see. Okay, so they got Kylian Mbappe to do the Oakley and Meta launch this summer. Features 3K video. What the hell is 3K video? I thought we always were at 4K. Anyways, 8-hour battery life, open ear speakers, built-in Meta AI. $499 limited edition drops by July 11th. Okay. Anyways, uh, this is fascinating, right? They come out and say that I don't think there is a way to fully assess what Donald Trump is going to do because he himself said he's not going to know what he does up until the moment he makes that decision. Anyways, let me just get to this Governor Waller stuff, right? Fed Governor Christopher Waller continues to stake out the most dovish position among his colleagues on the FOMC. What he says is, I'm all in favor of saying maybe we should start thinking about cutting the policy rate at the next meeting because we don't want to wait till the job market tanks before we start cutting the policy rate. So basically, he's saying we don't want to be late. Waller hints at the committee dynamic. There isn't support for a July cut on the FOMC given current data, which raises a question, right? Is he setting up a dissent in favor of a cut in July? Among those who want to be considered as Fed chair, Waller has arguably presented so far the most intellectually rigorous case for cutting rates. So he might even be a contender to become the next Fed chair because at the moment Kevin Hassett and Besant or Lutnick could become the next Fed chair as well. So maybe he wants Powell's job, so he's trying to say that okay, let's cut. Could be. Who knows? All right. What I do know is that Q2 earnings would be decent purely because of the fact that you are going to start seeing a lower dollar helping a lot of these countries in their earning power. So that's going to be pretty good to watch how the earnings turn out for Q2 because I would still expect a lot of them to beat and raise. Amazon and SK Group will invest 5 billion to build the largest AI data center in South Korea. Project breaks ground in September and will be fully operational with a capacity of 100 megawatts by 2029. Amazon's going big in South Korea as well. That's good. Uh, Let me see how this works out. So what are we, about 5 minutes away from market opening? So that should be fun once the market opens. I think we'll still have a decently green day. So I'm looking forward to that happening for sure. Mm, Let me just see some of these stocks. So gold is still down 0.4, silver is down by 1.73. I would have expected silver to actually do pretty well. But yeah, from the lows of the day, it is picking up. It was down to 35.54. Now it's down to about 36.07. So market does look like it's going to head higher. We should see a move higher anywhere in the range of 200 to 250, maybe even 300 points. Let me just see what's happening here. 289 now. So we're pretty much at days high when it comes to the NASDAQ, 21,825. I'm keeping a watch to see if we can head up to anything in the range of 21,870. That's about 35 to 40 points up from here. If we see that kind of a move, I believe we're on our way to 22,000 today itself. That's going to be another percent. So you could have a 2% move on the NASDAQ, not too much, but quite possible. All right. As of now, everyone believes, the poll that I asked said, will the market break into new highs this month? 67% of them believe that, yeah, bulls are in full control. So it's looking that way. 21,830 on the NASDAQ. So I still think, yeah, we should have a fabulous day. Unless and until someone just comes and screws up with all of these, missile strikes and God alone knows what all that they all want to do. Hmm. So remember something, right? Waller hasn't, like Christopher Waller, he hasn't been the center of the committee. And he can, like, what I've seen is he can bounce between the guardrails. So he was also an advocate for tapering in 2021. But eventually, when the data got rock pulled, he just pulled out and became a hawk in August, September of 2021. So could be, I mean, for me, he has an outside shot of becoming the Fed chair next year. So that's something that I'm looking at. And he just wants to basically let Trump know that, hey, listen, I'm a guy who's on the Fed currently who is looking at cutting and being on your side. If you believe that cutting is the right thing, which obviously Trump does, right? Trump wants to cut the entire thing by like 2.5 percentage points. So, uh, let me see what else is happening. So, up about 350 points on the NASDAQ. Looks good. Let's see if we can hold these. Let's see once we open if we can even hold these or do we like just sell off. I still believe, I mean, it is going to be a decent day. We had a 1% down yesterday in futures. We've recovered that entire 1% and now we're up by 0.5% as well. So, all said and done, it's not looking bad one bit. Let's see. Oh, most of the stocks seem okay. You know what's fascinating is the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. I was actually looking at it, TASE, right? It was actually just flying, right? Their exchange, even though they got bombed on the exchange, close to the exchange, they were pretty good. That was up. They couldn't give a damn. Anyways, but I think the Iranian stock market is still shut. or something around that corner. I don't know who trades there, but whoever does, good for them. If it's shut, because they would have got screwed if it's open. What I do know is the Israeli stock exchange did go up, so I think they might have even hit close to all-time highs from what I remember. Anyways, one good thing. So we got two good things today. One that came out of Iran, which said that they're going to look for negotiations, anything towards enrichment, and the second one that they have is towards their story when it comes to federal governor Waller, who comes out and says that we could be having Fed rate cuts pretty soon. So let's see. Okay, we should have the market open now. Let's see, what do we have? 21,821. So we were looking at about 880, 870. We opened at about 21,825, 829. The Russell's not up that much, up about 2127. So that's that. The S&P's reclaimed 6,000, which is again not magical, but whatever said and done. I mean, it's better than where we were yesterday, because as of yesterday we were looking at the markets having a percent down move. We've recovered that percent and we're up about 0.4% additionally. So all said and done, it's a good day. All right. Nvidia is at about 146, close to 145.99. So close to 146. Let's see when that breaks, what happens. I think the high on Monday was at about 146.18. So maybe if we do take that out in today's move, you could see it head to about 147 or 148. If that happens, then smooth sailing. Could push the index higher as well. So I've been saying this since before. I truly do believe that we are in a risk on sentiment. Stocks should do well. I am not of the opinion that the market should head lower. That's something that I'm not currently looking at. So let me just go ahead and see what else is going on. 21,852 on the index. So the index is like flat. Stocks gain as Fed's Waller sees rate cut soon. Trump delays Iranian strike decision. I mean, maybe he does something over the weekend. Who the hell knows? All right. Can't really decipher a lot that happens right now. What we should see is we should try holding these highs. That's the important part, right? We shouldn't give up the highs, because that's the important. That's the only reason why we would start heading into the. We could power on into the 21,900 levels and higher. I still want to see 22,000 being taken out. If 22,000 can be taken out, that's the one that's more important. Okay, so Nvidia is the only one that seems to be lower at about 145.28. Let me go see what the other stocks are doing currently. First, let me see oil. Right? Oil's down about 1%, so that's good. I would like to see oil break 72 and head lower. The lower oil goes, I've been saying this, the higher equity markets go. At the moment, that's the correlation that's been working out. Okay, let's go in. Let's see what's happening. Otherwise, 2% down on silver, 0.3% down on gold. So gold acting as a hedge has been working that way. Mm, Apple's up about 1%, so that's good news. Basically, Apple's coming out and saying that they're going to use generative AI to improve their chip design, aiming to automate tasks and shorten development from years to months. I don't know what took them so long, but so be it. It is what it is. Mm, cool. So most of the markets are looking pretty decent. Like it's not looking like shit's hitting the fan. AMD is up about 2.59. So that's good. That's good to see. Maybe AMD starts doing better than Nvidia has been doing. Maybe Nvidia does have a race that they've won pretty much. So just going to go over a few stocks. If there's nothing more, then we could call it quits. But as of now, 6,004 on the S&P. So we're pretty much close to all time, not close to all time highs, but close to days high. Hopefully we break out of the 66010 levels and go up. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else. Yeah, 322, 326 up. Anyway, so let's do one thing. Let's catch up after the market opens, closes, and then we can take it and see how things work out then. It should be fascinating. I'll keep a watch on what's currently going on. Let me just see if there's anything else. Iranian foreign minister arrives at Geneva venue for talks with European counterparts. So let's see what happens there. Anyways, guys, so go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and notify yourselves because I'll be doing a live post market. So you'll get a message and a pop up when I go live. And for everyone that joins in for post market, I will see you then. Else, I will see you on Monday pre market. Uh, let's go ahead and enjoy the weekend as well. So, see you guys for post market. Make sure to subscribe and you'll get a notification when I come online. Take care. Have a good Friday.